When you do the elevated hip flexor and reach, you're going to line up at about a 45-degree angle to the step. But then your foot and your hips are going to come square so that this leg is in a little bit of internal rotation. So my shoulders, my hips, my foot are square to the step. This leg is at about a 45-degree angle. And then I'm just going to reach straight up. So I squeeze my bum together, bring my hips forward to feel a stretch here, and then increase that stretch by reaching straight up to the ceiling. Hip flexor with your foot on the wall. So you'll need a mat for sure, or some sort of padding, a cushion. My foot is up on the wall behind me. My knee is quite close to the wall. And then I want to keep my neutral back position. So I'm just going to come up slowly until I feel a stretch in the front of my thigh or my hip. For some of you, that might even be this forward position. And that's okay to rest your hands here and just feel that stretch. And as the stretch dissipates, come up a little higher. Don't just throw your shoulders back over your hips and make a big arch in your back. We want to keep that neutral position. So almost think more of bringing your hips underneath your shoulders. This is a hamstring stretch with the strap, keeping that knee perfectly straight and keeping this leg with the knee down on the floor and the toe point straight up to ceiling. Prone hip internal rotation, knees stay together, the feet pull apart. My knees are bent to about 90 degrees. The TVA with leg lift is more of a brain exercise than really a muscle exercise. We're trying to teach you to recruit the deep abdominal muscles, the transversus abdominis, without flexing all of your other abdominals. So your fingers will be on either side of your stomach. You'll just simply draw in your belly button, but the surface muscles should still stay relaxed. So you don't want to flex those muscles. It's just a little draw in, half a centimeter or a centimeter, and then you're trying to keep that relaxed tension on the surface, maintaining the draw in as you bring one knee up toward your chest and back down again slowly, 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 without losing that little draw in contraction. So it won't feel like much to your abdominal muscles, feel like nothing, but you'll really have to concentrate to do it perfectly and be very picky with it. For glute bridge and hold, you're going to brace with your abdominals, push your hips up to make a straight line from your knees to your hips to your shoulders. Make sure you're squeezing your glutes, trying to relax your hamstrings. I want you to feel it in the glutes the most. Maintain a little brace with your abdominals so that you're in a good neutral back position. The quadruped Superman and hold looks very easy, but to do it properly, you actually have to concentrate quite hard. I want you to brace here with your abdominals and then really reach with your fingertips and your heel. And no wiggle whatsoever, keeping your hips perfectly flat. You should be able to balance a medicine ball on your low back. And when that gets easy, you'll simply pick up your back toe, and that makes it much less stable. You have to work a lot harder. But remember to brace with the abdominals as you go. Not as hard as you can, about a 30% contraction. This is a mini band step lateral. This is just a little yellow elastic band. You can also do this just getting a piece of TheraTube and tying it in a circle. But basically you want to take about a 6-inch step, bringing your feet back to about hip width apart, keeping your shoulders and your hips perfectly level. So as you fatigue, or if you're not using the proper muscles, you should really feel this one out here as you go along. If you're not using the proper muscles, you'll get a little teeter-totter going, or another cheater is to drag this back foot along. You want to pick up your feet, brace with your abdominals, level shoulders, level hips, feeling it out here. And this is my posture, just a very slight knee bend as you go. Final thing, make sure your toes are pointing straight ahead. Some people really want to turn that lead foot out. It needs to stay pointing straight ahead, so we're targeting the proper muscles. When you do quadruped hip extension, we're trying to teach you to extend at the hip, so to push from the hip without extending in the lumbar spine. So to do hip movement without accompanying movement of your torso. I'm keeping my heel as close to my bum as I can get it, and I'm trying to push straight up to the back. So sometimes people will get out to the side, or they might turn at their hip. So just make sure that it goes straight up, only as far as you can. So even if you just get your thigh in line with your torso, that's actually pretty good. Don't fuss too much even if it's down here. Naturally we want to get it up there, but don't go way up here and extend your back. When you do the squat to tap, I want you in front of a bench or a chair, standing about 4 to 6 inches in front, and then just sitting back with your hips, keeping your chest up just until your butt lightly touches. So 1, 2, 3, light touch, and then come back up. When you come back up, think about squeezing your glutes. Remember to keep your chest up, sit back in the hips. This is a side clamshell. So arrange yourself so that your feet are in line with your rear end and your back. Your hips are rolled slightly forward, your knees are touching, your feet are touching, and then you're just going to lift up that top knee. Feeling it out here, so think about squeezing there. Make sure when you lift that top knee, you're not rolling your hips backwards. You want to stay nice and stable. If you have trouble and you're not sure if you have the right position, or maybe you're not feeling in the right spot, you can always lie with your feet, your rear end, your back, right along a wall with your knees bent to about 90 degrees, and that will help ensure that you're in the right position. Let me just show you from the front what that'll look like. The staggered stance, stiff-legged deadlift is kind of a funny one. Really, you're going to have all the weight on this leg that's fairly straight. The toe of the other foot just sits down, or the toes just sit there. And then it's just a hinge at your hips as you come forward until you feel a stretch in this hamstring. And then you're going to squeeze the hamstring and the glute to bring you back up. Notice I'm not letting my back round. So people often get here and then they run out of room in their hamstring, so then they reach with their fingers. I don't want that. I want it just to be a hip hinge. So your hips kind of sit back a little bit. Then as you come up, you'll squeeze here. When you start doing this with dumbbells, make sure to keep those dumbbells or the weight quite close to your leg. Don't hold it out here. Hold it right in close to your leg. This knee is softly bent, so it's not locked straight. Softly bent, but it's rigid, meaning that I don't bend it more as I come forward.